The world of Little Nightmares is a haunting, beautiful puzzle box. A fever dream that feels like Hellraiser had a baby with Studio Ghibli. It's a world loaded with cryptic events, ambiguous symbols, and a story so fragmented that it's kept fans debating for years. But what if I told you that every single piece of the story, from the mobile game and obscure comics to the mainline games and DLC, all fit together in one complete chronological story? What if all the confusion about what's a prequel and what's a sequel could just be smoothed and explained? Well, today we're connecting all the dots. We're going to assemble that puzzle piece by horrifying piece to reveal the entire definitive timeline of Little Nightmares. We're starting at the very beginning and ending with what the future holds for this dark, enchanting universe. Our timeline doesn't kick off in the Pale City or the Maw, but on a high cliffside in a sinister mansion known only as the Nest. This is the stage for the mobile game, Very Little Nightmares. Here, we meet our first protagonist, a young girl in a yellow raincoat who has crash landed in an awful place. For the longest time, everyone just assumed this was Six, but the game hits you with a tragic twist. This girl isn't Six. In fact, she bumps into the real Six early on, a small, cautious kid who immediately flees when she's spotted. This girl in the raincoat has to navigate the horrors of the nest by herself, facing off against monstrous adults like the craftsman, who grotesquely turns children into lifelike dolls, and the telekinetic butler who keeps the grim household running. The true ruler of the nest is the pretender, a spoiled, lonely child with a terrifying power. She can kill other children with a single touch, seemingly out of a twisted desire for friends. Throughout the game, the girl in the raincoat and Six have these near misses and brief unspoken alliances. In the climax, during a desperate chase, the girl saves Six from a fatal fall. To repay the favor, Six tries to help by pushing a boulder onto the pursuing pretender, but that's not enough. The girl and the pretender both plummet into the sea below. The girl in the yellow raincoat dies. Her iconic coat floats to the surface, a symbol of lost hope. But from the wreckage, another figure emerges. Six. She survived. She pulls the yellow raincoat from the water, puts it on, and sets off on a raft, leaving the nest behind for good. This is the origin of Six's iconic look. It's a memory of a girl who saved her life and a piece of armor for the horrifying world that awaits. This is where the great debate really begins. Is Little Nightmares 2 a prequel or a sequel? All signs point to it being the very next chapter after Very Little Nightmares, and a direct prequel to the first game. Six, now rocking her new raincoat, makes her way to the Pale City and its surrounding wilderness. It's here she's captured by the brutal hunter. And it's here we meet our second hero, Mono, the boy in the paper bag mess. Mono wakes up from a dream about a long hallway ending in a door with a glowing eye. Venturing through the woods, he finds the hunter's cabin and rescues Six. Together, they form a fragile bond, a tiny flicker of warmth in a cold, dead world. They travel through the haunting landscape, from a terrifying school run by an elastic necked teacher to a hospital filled with mannequin like patients and a grotesque ceiling crawling doctor. The entire Pale City is hypnotized by the signal tower, which broadcasts a transmission that has turned its adult residents into mindless, TV obsessed husks called the viewers. The master of this tower is the Thin Man, a mysterious, glitching figure who relentlessly hunts Mono and eventually snatches Six, leaving behind only a shadowy, corrupted version of her. Mono, determined to save his only friend, takes the fight to the signal tower. He masters the ability to travel through televisions and finally confronts the Thin Man in an epic, reality bending battle. He wins, and he frees Six. But this is where the story shifts from a rescue mission into a flat out tragedy. As the signal tower crumbles around them, Six helps Mono make one last jump across the chasm, and then she lets him go. She betrays him, watching as he falls into the fleshy, pulsating abyss. Alone, surrounded by the tower's influence, Mono is consumed. He ages, grows taller, and is twisted into the exact same thin man he defeated. He's trapped in a time loop, destined to become the villain of his own story. Meanwhile, as Six escapes through a TV portal, a shadowy, glitched version of herself appears and points toward the poster of the Maw. A moment later, Six is hit by a sudden, intense hunger pang, the first of many. Her trauma and her betrayal have broken up something dark inside her. Of course, Mono's betrayal is one of the most shocking and talked about moments in the whole series. So, I have to ask, why do you think Six did it? Was it a cold, calculated act of survival, or had the signal tower already corrupted her? Drop your theories in the comments below. And hey, if you're enjoying us putting together this horrifying puzzle, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our future deep dives into gaming's greatest mysteries. Now's a great moment to talk about this episode's sponsor, AdvancedGG. Between focus, energy, and hydration, AdvancedGG has the supplements that you gamers need. Advanced is proud to make the world's most trusted gaming energy drinks and supplements, and with energy, we've unleashed the ultimate power up. All of our clean, energy pumping, productivity boosting drinks are made with all natural caffeine and L-theanine from green tea. Each serving gives you a delicious and energizing boost with no jitters, no crash, and no added sugar. If that wasn't enough, energy is packed with electrolytes and vitamins to hydrate and nourish your body, ensuring optimal performance that'll help you blow away the competition, including tall, thin men who take your friends. But hey, don't let me just talk about it. Let me show you. One of my favorite flavors right now is raspberry lemonade. It honestly gives you the flavor of the summer and leaves you feeling refreshed, energized, without jitters. Thank you to AdvancedGG for powering this content, and use code TEATIME for 10% off all of your orders. My partner link is also below if you find a better deal. Using my partner link helps support me no matter what discount you find. Now back to the theory crafting. Before we follow Six into the mall, we need to take a detour through the official comics and the DLC for the first game, Secrets of the Maw. While some of the comics are of questionable canon, they do help bridge the gap. They show other kids trapped in the world of the nowhere, often being taken by a mysterious figure called the Ferryman. These stories just reinforce the idea that Six is one of many children desperately trying to survive a world designed to consume them. The Secrets of the Maw DLC runs parallel to the main story of Little Nightmares and introduces another character, the runaway kid. He escapes the nursery and explores the deepest, darkest parts of the Maw that we never see in Six's journey, including the flooded depths and an engine room where he has to rescue the gnomes. His journey ends in the residence, the private quarters of the lady, the ruler of the Maw. It's here he discovers a horrifying secret. The lady is turning children into gnomes. The runaway kid is ultimately caught, and in the game's final, heartbreaking scene, he's transformed into a gnome himself. He finds his way to a room where there's a lone sausage, a scene all too familiar to those who have played the first game. He shuffles towards it just as a starving, desperate Six enters the room. The gnome offers her the sausage, his last act of kindness. But Six, in the grip of her insatiable hunger, devours the sausage and the gnome. This completely recontextualizes one of the most shocking moments of the first game, adding yet another layer of tragedy to Six's fall from grace. Now, we finally arrive at the game that started it all, Little Nightmares. After the events of the second game, Six finds her way to the Maw, a massive, semi-submersible iron vessel that caters to the grotesque, gluttonous elite. She wakes up inside a suitcase deep within the vessel's prison. Her hunger is now a recurring, debilitating curse. Guided by some unforeseen force, she navigates the horrors of the Maw. The camera sways just slightly, a constant reminder that this prison is also a ship floating on an endless sea. The scale is immense. Six is a tiny figure in a world of giant, terrifying adults. She has to escape the blind, long armed janitor, the two brutish twin chefs, and the swarm of repulsive guests who have come to the mall for an endless feast. With every challenge she overcomes, Six's hunger grows more intense and more depraved. The first time she's given bread by another child. The second, she eats a trapped rat. The third time, as we know, she consumes the helpful gnome. Her innocence is being systematically destroyed. Finally, she reaches the quarter of the lady, the masked, geisha like ruler of the mall. There's a popular theory that the lady might be Six's mother trying to save her from suffering the same fate she did. During their confrontation, Six discovers the lady's one weakness: her own reflection. Using a small unbroken mirror, Six defeats her, and in her final, most monstrous act of hunger, Six consumes the lady, absorbing her dark, soul draining powers. The game ends with Six walking up the main staircase of the mall. The monstrous guests who were just trying to eat her moments before now bow as she passes, recoiling in fear. She has become the new master of the mall, a powerful and terrifying figure. She reaches the surface, standing in the sunlight for the first time, but she is no longer the girl who put on a raincoat to remember her friend. She is something more and something much, much less. And that brings our timeline to its current chilling end. From a girl lost in the nest to a prisoner of the Pale City, and finally to the new ruler of the mall, we have followed the complete tragic arc of Six. We've watched her be transformed by trauma, betrayal, and an unnatural hunger that has corrupted her to her very core. But the story of the Nowhere is far from over. Little Nightmares 3 is set to release on October 10th, 2025, introducing two new protagonists, Lo and Alone, as they journey through a new part of this world called the Spiral. On top of that, a new VR experience titled Little Nightmares VR Altered Echoes has also been announced, promising to immerse us directly into this waking nightmare. The world of Little Nightmares is expanding with new lore, new books, and new mysteries to solve. It's a universe built on cycles of trauma and loss of innocence, where any escape often just leads to an even more terrible prison. The ultimate question remains: can this cycle ever be broken? Or are all of the children who wander into the nowhere doomed to repeat the same horrifying patterns forever? What do you think is to come for our new protagonists, Lo and Alone? Leave your theories in the comments below. And I mean, hey, this is just my theory, but I think we might see Six again. If you enjoyed this dive into the timeline of Little Nightmares, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification, and throw us a like. Of course, if you dislike it, make sure you dislike it. And my name is Aurora. This has been Tea Time over Little Nightmares. And I'll see you at the next tea party. Bye bye!